I'm going to make a video and document putting an air conditioner on a pop-up camper. I was trying to find a good video on YouTube or information on the internet, and I was unable to find anything real detailed. So I thought as I work my way through this, I'd try and document it. This is a Jayco 1207 pop-up camper, and it came with just an air vent on the top that you can. It's not a power air vent, you just crank it open from the inside. And the opening, it's a 14-inch standard opening, so the air conditioning unit I ordered should fit right into that opening if the information is correct. What I ordered was a Dometic 13,500 BTU air conditioning unit, and the reason I ended up picking the Dometic was I was looking at this for the Coleman, and this is just a little bit lighter. I think it's about 75 pounds as opposed to about 95 pounds. And they've recently done some re-engineering. They've added some vibration dampeners to the unit and a few other features that made me want to maybe pick this over the Coleman. When it shipped, I bought this on eBay from Adventure RV. That was the best price I could find. I checked many sites. It was about, I think it was around $550 or $570, and that included the shipping. And it came in these two boxes. The box on the left, the thinner box, is the ceiling unit that goes inside the camper with the controls on it, and the bigger box is the compressor unit and so forth that goes on top of the camper. And if the information is correct, this should be complete, have everything in it except for the power cord. But when I bought the camper, I got this box with some stuff. There's a power cord for the air conditioner, a couple connectors, and then there's a little white cord concealer that I think you stick to the ceiling in there just to hide the cord as it goes over to the side. So I should have everything. The one thing that I'm hoping I find when I open up the big box is that there's a gasket to seal the compressor unit to the roof. That's one thing that a lot of other places that sell these air conditioners, it's something you have to buy extra, but the information from Adventure RV said this was complete with the exception of the power cord. So I have the power cord. We'll see if it in fact is complete. I hope so. What I have to do first is remove this air vent, and it looks like there's 28 screws all the way around the perimeter of that, so I'll have to take those off first, and then I may have to go inside. I've never removed one of these before, so we'll see what that involves to remove that. And it looks like there might be some caulking or sealant around the base of that that's going to have to be removed also. So I'll see what I find out when I get the vent loosened up and removed from here. Okay, I've taken all the screws off from around the vent, and what I'm doing is taking a really stiff putty knife. It's a really strong one, and then a little piece of thin metal. I'm just going around and wedging the putty knife between. There is some kind of caulking all the way around here, and what I'm doing, because this is really stuck down solid, just going between every screw hole and wedging the putty knife in there, and then using the metal as kind of a fulcrum just to kind of pry it up and break it loose from around the edge. I'll have to go inside, raise the roof, and go inside after I get this all loosened up out here to see if there's any screws or bolts on the inside that are securing this unit to the inside of the trailer in any fashion. Also, I got the everything unboxed. I just cut the carton away from here, and here's the ceiling unit here. Reading the instructions, it sounds like the gasket is attached to the bottom of the compressor unit, and that's why they want you to lift this into place over the opening on the roof and not slide it, because you'll ruin the gasket. So I assume the gasket is under there. I haven't looked yet. Just one little tip also, I ended up using a rubber mallet to tap the putty knife under there, and then I also took a piece of cardboard to put under the little piece of metal. It was just causing some real light scrapes on the finish of the roof, so the cardboard that kept that from scraping, from the metal from scraping. I've gone all the way around now between every screw hole, and tried to separate it, but it still feels like this is very solid on there, so I'm guessing that there might be some screws or bolts on the inside that are securing it from the inside too. So I'm going to raise the roof and go inside and see what I can see from in there. Okay, I'm inside, and yeah, there are 4 screws. There's one in each corner on this trim ring all around the inside. So I'll take those off and see what else I need to do. It looks like maybe need to remove that little screw in the middle of the knob that raises and lowers the vent also. Okay, I removed the knob and the trim piece, and then the screen also. There's some little clips you can see around the edge here that hold the screen onto this little trim piece. It looks like this trim piece might pop off also, this plastic, but I don't know that it has to. And it looks like as I push up from down below that I can see the caulking material that they put around the edge here all the way around. Anyway, it looks like it's freeing up, so I think I can just push it up or pry it from the top and remove the unit from this point on. Okay, I did end up taking off that trim piece, that wider one, and it was just actually pushed up there, and it was kind of stuck to this caulking material that they have all the way around the edge. So I've got that off, and now it looks like the vent will just push right out of there. Okay, got the roof vent out, and as you can see, all the putty that's stuck around the edges, it was stuck up there pretty good. You got to be careful when you're prying it up that you don't lift the membrane of the roof. So just kind of think that was good that I went around and loosened it with the putty knife before I got started. Otherwise, it would have really been secured pretty solidly. So now I got to go up and clean this putty off the roof somehow, and then I can get ready to set the air conditioning unit in there. And what I'll do in this camper, so the power will run over to this edge here, and then along here, and then this is a little vinyl sleeve that they have for the power cord to run from up here by the edge of the roof. It'll run down, and then the 20 amp plug-in is down underneath this cabinet here, so the power cord will run down to that point and plug in. Okay, I'm up on the roof getting the putty off from around the opening, and it's going pretty good. I'm just using a putty knife and just scraping it along and pulling it, and like I say, you can see how the membrane of the roof can lift a little bit so you want to be careful, but just working my way along. And then once there's a little residue left, as you might be able to see here, maybe I'll try a little bit of mineral spirits, or I've got some stuff called Goof Off and also rubbing alcohol. I'll try them and see which one might work the best, but this is going okay. It's just peeling off of there. Okay, I got her cleaned off pretty good. There's a pile of the putty there. A good stiff putty knife really helped too. I tried 3 different things, and as you can see, there's still a little bit of residue, but it's just kind of filling in the gaps. And I'm probably going to actually take a little caulk and hit those screw holes before I put the air conditioning unit on anyway, just to make sure, in case the gasket doesn't cover all of it, that there's no water leaking in. I tried 3 different things. Here they are. First, I tried the rubbing alcohol, and that did okay, but it didn't really do the job. I tried this stuff called Goof Off, and that didn't really do too much. And then I tried the mineral spirits, or the paint thinner, and that seemed to do the best job actually. It loosened it up, and then I was actually able to take the putty knife and clean up most of it, and then just kind of finish it off with the paint thinner. And that seemed to work pretty good. Just be careful you don't spill the whole can inside your camper while you're doing it. So now I'm going to try and get ready to get the compressor unit set into place up on top there. And like they say, don't slide it. You will need to put cardboard up there and then just set it over the hole. You don't want to slide it and ruin the gasket. Okay, well, with the help of my assistant, we were able to lift the unit. We put a piece of cardboard on the roof and we lifted it up there, and now we're going to get it over the hole. Like they said, they don't want you to slide it, and you can see the gasket's actually pretty dense foam. It's not as fragile as I was thinking it might be, but anyway, we'll get it over the hole, and then they suggest that you go from the inside and center it into the opening from the inside. You can kind of probably push up on the unit from down there and move it around to where you have to. So we'll get it over the hole next. Okay, we've got it roughly centered over the hole, and what we found worked best was if both of us just got our fingers underneath the bottom edge and let our fingers slide on the top. That way the gasket didn't have to slide. So it's roughly centered. Now I'm going to raise the roof again and go inside and get it centered up on the inside. Okay, from the inside we're pretty close. You can see the foam gasket is over the edge here and a little behind here, so we'll have to slide it forward an inch or so, and looks like I have to slide it over to the right about an inch. There's a little extra gasket over this edge, but it's back over here, so there's plenty of material here so we can push up and lift it from here and slide it into place without any trouble. Okay, we got it centered over the hole. The hole must not have been totally square, but we got it pretty good. There's a little bit of foam hanging over the opening in the back, but I'd rather have it in the back, I think, than in the front, because there's more likelihood of water getting in while you're driving down the road. So the front, I've got the most coverage there. So next we'll look at the next step and see what we do. Next. Okay, the next step, this is called the duct divider, and this is going to fit in the ceiling of the camper and the air conditioning unit. And based on the thickness of your ceiling, there's a little guide in the instruction manual right here that, based on the thickness of the ceiling, that tells you how many of these sectioned off pieces to cut. And I'm just going to use a utility knife and just cut across. My ceiling is 1 inch thick, and according to the instructions for the Dometic, it says minimum ceiling width or thickness should be 1.5 inches. I called the manufacturer and they said 1 inch should be fine. I'll probably end up, instead of cutting at this part, I'll probably end up having to take an extra section off. But I'll start here and see how it fits together. Okay, I got the duct divider cut down, and it said to mount it 5 5/8 inches from the rear of the camper, and the rear is that way. So what I did is I measured 5 5/8 and put a little silver mark here, another little silver mark up here, and then this piece is just pressure fitted in there. It's foam, so it just fits. You squeeze it up in there and it just kind of holds in place. And then there's the metal pan has a channel that's going to fit over this and hold it up also. So the metal pan is I think the next piece to go on here. Okay, I had to get a little creative here because they didn't give me any clear instructions. I've got a power cord, that runs across the ceiling and then down through this sleeve, and it'll get plugged in. But it didn't tell me how to route it. If I had in-ceiling power coming in through the ceiling into the opening, it was easy, but I couldn't. I had to do something so it didn't sandwich between this template and the ceiling, and also it can't get between the edge of the shroud in here and the ceiling. So I had to figure out how I could get it up in there and make it work. So what I did is I ended up on this particular shroud on the side closest to the window here. There was an opening, I don't know if you can see it, where I was able to put the power cord through there, and then it didn't tell me this, but I found a kind of a hole here that I was able to run it up through, and then run it up into up here. I don't know if you can see that. And then through there's a little the retainer for the power, and then I ran then the power went into the box here. And I haven't hooked up these wires yet, but so here's the power cord and here's the wires for the unit. And then I also had to plug in the roof unit. Had a wire that comes down and plugged into the back of the control box. I don't know if you can see that, but anyway, that plugged in there. So I just put the hangers, I just hung this up here just loosely with as much space as I could so I could reach in there and do all this stuff, and then I routed all this stuff. So you might have to get a little creative if you're using this unit or a different unit to get the power all ran so it doesn't create gaps in your hookups. Now this is the strip here that I have to get into this groove on the this groove here on the they call it the template piece. So I'll work on that and start tightening things up and see how it goes. Okay, just made the electrical hookup. That was inside this little panel here where the line goes in. This is plugged in up here, and I've got the template secured to the roof. It said 40 to 50 pounds of torque, and I used my torque wrench down here, but that gasket was really getting squeezed at about less than 30 pounds. So I'm stopping there, and I'll tighten it up as we go, as that thing compresses over time, I think. So now it's put the shroud on, and this is kind of a challenge. I guess there's some sheet metal screws, so we must have to drill some holes through that template with those sheet metal screws, I'm guessing. So we'll get that part going next. Okay, I had it all hooked up and the shroud on and wired, and everything was done, and then I went to turn it on, and the squirrel cage, I don't know if you can see it up in there, but there's some styrofoam like insulation around it, but the squirrel cage is rubbing on it and it won't turn. It starts to turn, and then it just, something's holding it up. You can hear it kind of rubbing. So rather than me trying to troubleshoot that, I think since it's under warranty, I'll find out where the closest repair shop is and have them take a look at it. What I ended up doing in order to route the power cord into the unit for the connection, for the hardwire connection, is the cord that came with the camper, and I was able to use for the air conditioner. It actually plugs in. I don't know if you can see it back where these wires run down in the corner. There's a 20 amp plug down below the cabinet there. So you just bring that end of the cord down, plug it in, and then it runs through this vinyl sleeve up to up here, and then I just run it along, and there was a couple of little plastic connectors you can see there to secure it, but the cord just ran over to here underneath the valance for the window. You can see there, and then there's actually an opening in the valance right here made for the power cord to come out for the air conditioner. So I popped it out there, and then this trim piece here with some adhesive on the back actually came with the camper just for this. So I had to angle it because there wasn't a straight 90 degree off of the shroud. And then what I did is I just took a little hacksaw, and you can see right there, I just cut a little notch into the shroud so the shroud could just push up against the ceiling, and the cord would fit in there flush. And then once it was in there, I think I had to loop it around and come to the electrical box. So the one thing about the Dometic that I don't really care for is you can see a couple of them there. There's two little mounting screws that secure the plastic shroud to the ceiling. There's two here, then there's two over here, and then there's two on this side. So there's a total of 8 of those, and they just screw into this ceiling tin, which is really, really thin, so there's hardly any really material there to hold it. The other thing is I had to take the shroud off one time and readjust the air conditioner a little bit just to line it up a little better, and trying to get these holes, everything lined up again so you use the same holes, is really tough. It's too bad that they didn't make a better metal pan under here. You can kind of see it, that extended out further so that these screw holes could maybe go into that metal pan instead of into the ceiling, so everything would line up better. So but it's in and it's working. Let's see here. Oh, I don't have it plugged in. Having done this once now, I could easily do it again the second time. Now that I know how everything goes together, I could do it probably easily in under an hour. The thing that took the longest was actually removing the gasket material, the old caulking, off the old roof vent up on the roof of the unit. I hope that helps. Thanks.